That's why I wanted to talk about this. Before I do, let's talk about this. Have you guys seen this? Have you guys seen this? Bloody hell. Paris Jackson reveals that she has a perforated septum from past drug use. Look at this. Have you guys seen this? If you're eating your food, by the way, if you're having your dinner, if you're having your tea, if you're drinking on something, please make sure you look away from the screen, mute the screen, close your screen, whatever. If you're eating something. If you're eating something right now, please make sure you look away from the screen. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I have what is called a perforated septum, slightly different from a deviated septum, and that is it's what you think it's from. Don't do drugs, kids. Or, I mean, do. I mean, you know, everyone's going to have the experience they need to have with life. I'm not going to tell anyone what to do, but I don't recommend it because it ruined my life. I don't want to get plastic surgery to fix it because I'm almost 6 years sober, and so you have to take pills when you do a surgery that gnarly, and I don't want to f that, but I've been living with this since I was about 20, and it's a bitch when you're in the studio coughing vocals, and I can actually stick a spaghetti noodle and do that with it.
Mad, innit? Mad, innit? Yo, I'm not gonna lie. First things first, I had no idea that Paris Jackson had a drug issue in the past anyway. They did a good job in keeping that, I think, out of the press for the most part. Maybe they did, it wasn't press. I had no issue. I know she used to crash out in the press a lot about her dad, R.I.P., obviously the great Michael Jackson and shit. But I never really heard about her having a drug issue. But it obviously makes sense with all the crash outs and all the craziness she was doing in public. So they kept that out of the public light. But also, can you think about the amount of gear this girl was getting through? And what was she like? She says she stopped when she was 20, right? So can you imagine the amount of gear she must have been getting through? Because usually, from my relative little experience in the drug issue, and from my knowledge of what I read in the news, people that have those deviated septums or issues with their nose, whatever, it usually comes about later in life. So for her so how much drug use did she get in before she fucking fucked up her septum? Was the stuff all bad? She must have been running through 8 balls at a fucking clip, like pow, 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 pow. She just must have been destroying any baggie that came her way to be a 20-year-old. Because it kind of makes me think of Tim Dillon. You know how Tim Dillon, like he came sober. I think Tim Dillon went sober when he was like really young. It might have been like late teens, early 20s. But it makes you think like, how much stuff were you doing? You know, like to complete. But usually I always find people, in my experience anyway, life experience too, I've spoken to some people who get their partying like this out of the way really young, weirdly enough end up being quite even killed, level-headed people in their adulthood. You know, you don't really hear much about Paris Jackson in the press too much. You know, she's not doing too much of a madness out there. She's pretty chill. And I think that's what happens. I think you live a life, when you live a real life, right, like that, you've seen some dark shit, you know, you have your issues, you have your lineage, right, that comes with its own baggage, and you run through that amount of drugs before you're 20, you're probably not going to be, you've probably seen some things that no human is ever going to see. You've probably had access to some things that no people's ever had access to, so you've done it all. So when you're over it, when you hang up your drug, you know, hat, you're not going to want to do it again, you know? So I can completely understand how it went from doing something so much to the point where you have a deviated septum, so to the point where you have the hole, you know, in that bridge thing, so you can put a bit. What she said, she can thread a bit of spaghetti through it, and oh, but Jesus Christ, man, she must have lived a life. But can you imagine how cool it would have been at one point in your life if you bumped into Paris Jackson in LA and you happened to be able to do a little bumpy with her in the toilet or some shit? Could you imagine the story? Could you imagine doing that for the bit? Could you imagine the law around you if you had that to pull out your back pocket? Oh yeah, one time I was at fucking Rainbow Bar and I fucking bumped into Paris Jackson and we did little bumpy. Oh, what a good story. What a fucking great story. But Jesus, it's a miracle that she's still around, to be honest.
You have a gun?
Yo, big up Chris Mack, big up Chris Mack.
Still would. No rubber needed. I bet you would too, Oz.
You know what? Not really, bro. I would be more into it for the story. I wouldn't really even be trying to smash. I swear to God, I would, if I ever, being such an MJ fan, being such an MJ stan, like you have to remember, I'm the type of MJ person. I did MJ talent shows. I went to talent shows like in my local council, talent shows of my school, talent shows of my fucking borough, right? And I performed MJ numbers, like the whole shebang. Do you know what I mean? Doing the whole thing. So I'm a super fan. So I'd much rather not try and smash and just have a good time. Just hang out with her friends, hang out with her, have some drinks, shots and shit, and just be sharing stories. You know what I mean? Whilst we're fucking aggressively wiping our noses. I would love that. More so than trying to smash. Of course, she's a beautiful girl. No one's denying that. But come on, bro. The stories. I want to hear the stories. Don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone, right? But I'll just be sitting there listening to all of it, soaking it all in. Honestly, I'd love it. I'd love every minute of it, man. I'd fucking love every minute of it. But you know, unfortunately, that opportunity's gone. Big up to her though. 6 years sober is no joke. Especially at her age, right? So that's what, she's 26 now, 27, I'm assuming. That's no fucking joke to be 6 years sober, living in LA with the access to what she's got over there completely. And to be fair as well, you can tell she's real sober because she's so sober that she's hesitant on getting the surgery to fix her nose because the surgery will require her to get on some type of drug, some type of anesthetic, some type of pain relief, you know, whatever. And she doesn't want to open that door at all, which you see is very common. Again, Tim Dillon's a good example of it too. He's also somebody that's very wary about not taking any pain meds or any medication that might get him back on that loop. So people that are legitimately sober and take their sobriety seriously, they tend to like be able to talk about the drug experience with a sense of detachment, but they also are able to, you know, talk really honest with it. And I like her advice there as well, which something I've said as well myself. Like, you can't really tell people advice on not to do stuff because you do it and you did it because it was fun. It just got a little bit too crazy for you and you had to kind of, you know, pull it back or completely not do it so you could still be alive. But you really can't give people advice on not to do it because it's like you kind of have to do it to get to that point, you know, unfortunately. But it's just unfortunately she had to get to a point where she fucking ran a hole through her nose. So I'm wondering, the stream chat, what do we think? Did she get the hole in her nose because she was running through so much gear every day? Or did she get a hole in her nose because the gear was tampered or was like cut with horrible shit? Cut with meth, cut with fucking bicarbonate soda, whatever they cut with stuff over there. I wonder, what do you guys think? But I also wonder how much she would how much she was doing before 20 to get a hole in your nose. Because I only hear about that for like people in their late 30s, early 40s, 50s or something. I don't usually hear of like teenagers getting holes in their nose. Jesus, she was running through shit. She was running through shit. Big up the stream chatters. It was Pearson that ate into the Pearson. Oh, you think so? Is that what she said? Oh, okay. So it wasn't okay. I'm not finding out from the Paris Jackson. Big up onto the toes. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, probably she's living a funner life than she's attractive, so I'm not surprised. Big up Chris Mack. Hate when coke heads make it seem like their lives are funner. I don't think anybody that does drugs try and make their life seem funner. They just enjoy the drugs. I don't know. Is there like a hierarchy? Is there like a thing, hierarchy like that? I've never really met a person who acts as if the drug that they do is super fun. You just do the drug that you do because you think you want to have a good time. There's like, I think most people that really go out, that really party, and that are really honest would always tell you that you shouldn't do anything. The real people. It's like people in your family that smoke. People in your family who smoke properly, right? Chain smoke. They'll tell you not to smoke. Because once you get into this habit, it's really hard to break. They know it's bad for them, but they can't help it. Same goes with drugs. I don't think anybody's like, oh my God, yeah, my drug is better than your drug. It's like, it's all bad. Drugs are all fucking bad for the most part. Drugs are all fucking bad for the most part. Big up Josie. That Ricada didn't even blow a hole through his nose. He was doing a lot. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a fucking really good point. But that probably is a difference though. Big up Josie is a really good point, but that's a difference though between Ricada money and Paris Jackson money. Paris Jackson is a girl. She's like what? Let's say she's 26, 27 now. She doesn't have to work she never has to work a day in her life. I know Ricada comes from money and stuff, but he still has to work. He might have a trust fund, but he still has to top it up with some income, you know? He can't just rely on his family inheritance. Paris Jackson is like a different type of wealthy. So that type of wealth, you know, you got all the time in the world. She probably, I don't know, I'd imagine probably dropped out of school early. You probably can't go to a conventional school. Like, your life is completely different. So you have no reason not to do drugs every day. You know, everyone else, we have a reason to. We might have a family, we might have dreams, aspirations, we might have bills, but she's a person who legitimately has no need to have a job because of obviously her family and shit. She's fucking good. So that comes with its own problems. That comes with its own issues. So big up her anyway for being sober. I appreciate that. She's a legend. Big up Big Goose. Yeah, she is big up, exactly. They're probably in a darker headspace and it comes off like that. Yep. It's not snow, it's the methane around it that'll burn a hole in it. Do you think if you did, that's the thing, be honest, do you think if you did like the purest of the pure, if you went to Bolivia and you lived there and you did the purest of the pure every day for 20 years, you don't think you get a hole in your nose? I still think you can. I think any abuse of anything is going to do some damage to you. It's like eating really good Belgian chocolate every day. You're still going to get holes in you. You're still going to get cavities, no? Doesn't matter if you're eating fucking the best chocolate ever. As long as you're eating chocolate every single day, you're going to fuck up your teeth at some point. Big up Big Boo. She probably put down the few mil lines. And they were the real deal. Big up Josie. Rich people just like us regular folks trying to best to keep them off the drugs. Yeah, I think it's way harder. I think I've always said I think there's loads of similarities now that I've grown and I've experienced a lot of stuff. I think there's way more similarities between super rich people and super poor people. I think the hardest thing to do is to stop people that are super poor to do drugs because your reality is awful. You just want to numb yourself from the pain. You don't want to be awake a long time. Like, you know, you just want the days to kind of just pass you by as quickly as possible. You want to live life and fast forward. And I think when you're really affluent, really rich, it's also really difficult, especially if you're coming up in a family where, you know, everyone's really accomplished and you're finding it hard to find your footing and stuff. You know, the pressures of all that sort of malarkey can really be hard on people as well. So I think really rich people and really poor people have a lot more in common than they probably would realize in terms of the struggles of like keeping themselves off of drugs and alcohol, because you got, you know, every reason to do so, because especially if you're rich, you got all the resources, you got none of the constraints, none of the fucking social contracts that would prevent you from doing so. You know, you can be drinking all day every night and no one would fucking give a fuck. As long as your bills are paid, no one fucking cares, isn't it? But yeah, big up Salaziz. If anyone knows about eating chocolate, yeah, that was a big back comparison, isn't it? That was a very big back analogy to pull out there, isn't it? It's like when you eat chocolate, you that was a very, 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 very big back analogy of me. But hey, what can we do? I am who I am, innit? I am who I am.